Welcome to Food Stories, the show that gives you the story behind some of the world's most popular and beloved food. We'll also serve you with simple recipes, fun facts, and tips in cooking and preparing these food favorites. So what are you waiting for? Let's delve deeper as we tickle your brains and taste buds. This is Food Stories. Churros. The churro is a deep-fried dough pastry snack which is mostly popular in Spain and Latin America. The churro is prepared by piping the pastry dough from a churrera, a syringe-type extrusion tool that has a star-shaped nozzle. This is what gives the churro its long and pointy-edged shape. The resulting extruded batter is then prepared by deep frying until it is golden brown and crunchy. Sometimes, churros are also sprinkled with sugar or injected with a filling in the center. It is also common to eat churros with a chocolate dipping sauce. Although the churro is said to have been conceived in Spain by traveling shepherds, the churro in itself may have been influenced by another unlikely food. Some historians suggest that the invention of the churro may have been influenced by a similar Chinese dish called yuqiao. According to accounts, yuqiao may have been brought to Spain and Portugal by the Portuguese merchants who traded with China. By trying to recreate the yuqiao, Spaniards may have accidentally invented churros. When Spanish conquistadors began their colonization campaign in the 1500s, they brought with them the recipe for churros, which spread to Spanish territories around the world, especially those in South America, where it began to branch out into different churro varieties. Want to make churros at home? Try out this simple recipe. You will need 1 cup water, 2.5 tablespoons of white sugar, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 2 tablespoons vegetable oil, 1 cup all-purpose flour, 1/2 cup sugar, 1 teaspoon cinnamon, and cooking oil for frying. You will also need a pastry bag. First, take a small saucepan and place it over medium heat. Next, combine water, the sugar, and the 2 tablespoons oil until it boils. Remove the mixture and combine it with the flour until it forms a ball. Next, take a deep frying pan and heat it to 375 degrees Fahrenheit or 190 degrees Celsius. Place the dough inside the pastry bag and use it to pipe strips of the dough in the frying pan. Fry the dough until golden brown. Then drain them of excess oil using paper towels. Once that's done, combine your sugar and cinnamon in a large bowl, then proceed to roll the fried churros in it. Fun fact: in Portugal, churros are a popular street cart food, especially at fairs, carnivals, and other celebrations. These street carts actually carry their own deep fryers and extrusion machines to make the churros fresh on the spot. Fondue. The fondue is a dish that consists of cheese melted in a communal pot which is placed over a heat source. It is eaten by dipping bread into the cheese pot by using thin, long-stemmed forks. Originally, the term fondue was exclusively used to refer to the melted cheese dish. But since the 1950s, it has also been used to refer to other dishes where foods are similarly consumed by dipping into a communal pot or container. The word fondue comes from the French past participle of the term fondre, which means to melt. The term was first used to refer to the dish in 1753 in Vincent Lachapelle's Cuisinière Moderne. The first modern fondue did not come until 1875. This type of fondue was made exclusively with cheese and was invented in Switzerland. The fondue is even considered as the national dish of the Swiss people, and was even promoted by the Swiss Cheese Union well until the 1940s. Then eventually, the fondue made its way to America when it was presented in the 1964 New York World's Fair. Want to try making fondue at home? Then check out the simple recipe. You will need 2 cups milk, 1 tablespoon Worcestershire sauce, 2 teaspoons ground mustard, 1 clove garlic crushed, 3 tablespoons all-purpose flour, 6 cups shredded cheddar cheese, 2 cups bread cut into cubes. You will also need a fondue set with the bowl, the burner, and the forks. If you don't have it at home, you can use a small pot to make the fondue and use forks or skewers. First, take a medium-sized saucepan and put it on low heat. Then, mix together the milk, Worcestershire sauce, mustard, garlic, and flour. Keep stirring to make sure that the ingredients mix together properly. Bring the mixture to a boil, then slowly add in the cheese. Keep heating the mixture until the cheese is melted. Then, transfer the mixture to your fondue set and serve it with bread cubes. Tip: here are some common eating conventions and etiquette to be observed when eating fondue. Number 1. Each bread morsel must only be dipped in the pot once. In other words, double dipping is not allowed. Number 2. The forks must be exclusively used to transport food from the dipping pot to the plate and must never be used for eating. Burrito. The burrito is a Mexican dish that consists of a rolled-up tortilla wrapper and a filling ingredient. The filling ingredient is usually based on a mixture of beans, rice, tomatoes, peppers, spices, and meat. The word burrito actually means little donkey in Spanish, a diminutive of the term burro or donkey. The burrito's name was applied to the dish because the rolled tortilla resembles the packed bread rolls that were carried on each side of the donkeys. The early Mesoamerican peoples of Mexico were already consuming wheat flour-based bread or tortilla wrappers. These people would often use whatever ingredients were available as a filling for the tortilla. Most accounts acknowledge that the burrito originated in the United States, within Mexican-American communities in the early 19th century. A popular origin story claims otherwise. According to this burrito myth, a man named Juan Mendez sold tacos in the streets during the period of the Mexican Revolution in the early 1900s. To keep the food warm, Juan used to wrap the tacos with tortilla wrappers which were placed under a cloth. Since he often traveled with a donkey, people named the food the burrito, and the rest was history. Today, the burrito is a popular food which can be eaten as a meal or even as a snack and is readily available in most specialty restaurants and Mexican-themed fast foods around the world. Make your own burrito in the comfort of your home. You will need 4 tortilla wrappers, 1 pound or 1/2 kilograms ground beef, 1 cup cooked beans, 1 cup salsa sauce, 1 cup shredded cheese, 1 onion, salt and pepper. First, take your beef and cook it on medium heat until brown. Next, dice the onion and mix it in with the beef along with the beans and about 3/4 of the salsa. Remember to save some salsa for later to use as extra topping. Now, take your tortilla wrappers and place an ample amount of filling in the center. Roll up the burrito and top it off with some cheese and salsa. You can use foil to hold the tortilla in place. Serve it while still warm. Tip: to enhance your burrito eating experience, Try placing your foil-wrapped burrito in the oven for a few minutes at 180 degrees Celsius or 356 degrees Fahrenheit. This will melt the cheese and let it drip into the filling, and it will also give your tortillas a slightly crispy texture. Dried fruit. A dried fruit is fruit that has majority of its liquid content removed naturally through sun drying or artificially through the use of dehydrators. Originally, dried fruits come from an age-old ancient tradition which dates back to the 4th millennium BC in Mesopotamia. The early people liked the concentrated sweetness and the longer shelf life of dried fruits. In fact, some ancient cuneiform texts found in early Mesopotamian clay tablets contain instructions on how to process dried fruits. Some scholars even believe that these might be the first written recipes. Due to its simplicity, dried fruits, such as dates, became one of the staple foods in ancient Mesopotamia. Dried fruits were eaten as sweets and were also used as ingredients and additives for meat dishes, breads, and pies. Other ancient civilizations, such as that of the Greeks and the Egyptians, carried on the fruit drying tradition. With the advent of modern technology and food processing techniques, dried fruits can now be processed in all parts of the world. Whereas previously, fruit drying would require regions of hot climate. Food dehydration equipment comes in a variety of forms and is also available for home and industrial applications. Here's a quick grape drying method that you can try at home to make your very own raisins. You will need fresh purple grapes. Preferably, you would do this naturally in a sunny environment, but you can also use a dehydrator if you're making grapes in the winter or the rainy season. First, start by cleaning and washing your grapes thoroughly. Next, cut off the excess stems from the tips of the grapes. Take a slated wooden or plastic tray and lay out your grapes evenly. Now, place your grapes outdoors in a sunny, dry environment. Ideally, you have to let them sit in the sun for 2 to 3 days. You can use a mosquito cloth to prevent pests from coming in contact with your grapes. After 2 to 3 days, you should see that the grapes are dried and with a wrinkly raisin texture. Take one piece and do a taste test to make sure that everything is good to eat. If it's not sunny where you live, just go ahead and use a dehydrator for the grapes. Fun fact: dried fruits contain no cholesterol, but they do contain more calories than fresh fruit. This is because of their higher sugar concentration caused by the removal of the fruit's natural water content in the drying process. Crepe. The crepe is a thin pancake-like dish that is made from either wheat flour or buckwheat. Sometimes it is served with a food filling which can either be sweet or savory. The word crepe is of French origin and is derived from the Latin crispa, which means curled. Crepes actually originated in Brittany, the northwest region of France. It started during the 12th century when buckwheat was first introduced in France. Since the crepe was very simple to make, the recipe was readily received by neighboring territories in Europe, with each region adding a unique element to their crepe recipe. You could even say that the crepe heavily influenced the modern pancake that we have today. Today, creperies or specialty crepe restaurants can be found in most countries around the world. How about making a crepe at home? Well, here's a simple crepe recipe for you to try out. You will need 2 eggs, 1 1/4 cups milk, 1/2 teaspoon vanilla, 1 very ripe banana, 3 tablespoons sugar, 1 cup all-purpose flour, and 1/4 teaspoon salt. You will also need a blender or food processor and a non-stick pan. First, prepare your ingredients and the blender or food processor. Set the blender to high speed and proceed to blend the ingredients at 20 to 30 second bursts in the following order. First, the eggs, then the milk, followed by vanilla, then the banana, then the sugar, then flour, and lastly, the salt. Once that's done, prepare your pan by coating it with half a teaspoon of butter on low heat. Next, take 2 to 3 tablespoons of the crepe and cover the pan entirely with batter by tilting it around the pan. Pour the excess batter into your container. Make sure that you have a nice thin layer. When the crepe begins to crisp at the edges, loosen its sides with a spatula or thin knife, then slide the crepe into a plate. Repeat the process with the remaining batter. You can serve the crepes folded or stacked. Fun fact: a popular crepe recipe known as crepe Suzette was invented by French Henri Charpentier in the 1800s. He named the crepe after Suzette, a beautiful French lady who was one of the guests at a royal dinner service. Pretzel. The pretzel is a baked bread product that is made from dough. It is notable for having a twisted knot appearance. The pretzel is shaped with a distinct symmetrical loop that is twisted in the center. Although no one is really sure who invented pretzels, one thing is for certain: the pretzel can trace its origins from Europe's early Christian monasteries. In some accounts, the pretzel was said to have been invented in 610 AD by Italian monks as a type of treat for children, which they gave out to reward the children who memorized their prayers. Another account claims that the pretzel was invented in Germany by bakers who had no choice but create a new type of baked good, as there was a ban in 743 AD for the sun-cross-shaped bread, which was considered to be a heathen symbol at the time. The term pretzels comes from the German term Brezel, which was a derivative of the Latin bracelis, or bracelet. In the 12th century, the pretzel also became associated with the emblems of Bakers' Guild throughout Germany. The migration of the German peoples to America in the early 19th century brought the pretzels to a wider audience around the world. The American Industrial Revolution also helped pave the way for the mass production of pretzels, where they became even more popular and readily available for public consumption. Here's a quick and simple pretzel recipe for you to try. You will need 1½ cups warm water, 1 tablespoon white sugar, 5 teaspoons active dry yeast, 4 cups all-purpose flour, 1/4 cup melted butter, 1 teaspoon rock salt, 1 egg, beaten, additional salt to taste. First, preheat your oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit or 220 degrees Celsius. Dissolve the sugar in the water, then add yeast. Let the yeast soften and foam up for about 5 minutes. Next, whisk the flour, butter, and salt until well mixed. Then combine it with the yeast mixture until the dough clings to the sides of the bowl. Next, take the dough and knead it in a flat floured surface. Cut the dough into 15 equal parts and use your hands to roll them up into long strands. Then, use your hands to twist them into a pretzel shape. Arrange the pretzels onto a baking sheet, then brush them with the egg and sprinkle them with salt. Bake the pretzels for 8 to 12 minutes until they are browned. Fun fact: in the US, the municipal government of Freeport, Illinois adopted the pretzel as the city trademark. In fact, the city of Freeport even prides itself for being known as Pretzel City, USA. Roti. The roti is a type of unleavened flatbread that is a popular staple food in the Indian subcontinent and places in South Asia. It is usually made with stone-ground wholemeal flour, which is traditionally called atta flour. The word roti comes from the Sanskrit term rotika. In India, the term roti is a generic term used to refer to bread. It is normally eaten together with different foods, much like how rice is served in combination with other dishes. One of the earliest accounts of roti is written in the Kannada literature, an ancient historic text from India which dates back to the 10th century. The roti made its way to the West when the British colonization of India introduced the food to a new audience. Another factor in the spread of the food was the movement of travelers from India to other British colonies. Today, the roti continues to be part of the Indian staple diet and is also consumed in nearby regions like Bangladesh, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. It is also a staple menu in most South Asian cuisine restaurants around the world. Try out this easy roti recipe at home. You will need 2 cups durum wheat flour, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 3/4 cup water, 1 tablespoon vegetable oil. First, take a medium-sized bowl and stir the flour, salt, water, and oil. Continue mixing until the dough pulls away from the bowl's sides. Then, take the dough out and knead it in a flat floured surface for about 10 minutes until it is smooth. Next, take a skillet and preheat on medium. Divide the dough into 12 and take one section. Roll the small section into a flat circle around 6 inches or 15 centimeters in diameter. Place the rolled dough in the skillet and cook for about 1 minute. Then, turn on the other side. Then, cook it for another minute as well. You should see dark brown spots in the bread when it is cooked. Take out the roti and do the same with the remaining dough. When done, serve it warm. Fun fact: the roti also holds national significance in the independence of India. The chapati, a type of roti, was instrumental in the chapati movement, which would lead to India's independence war. According to accounts, chapatis were sent out to local people, and revolutionaries would respond by quietly preparing and sending out a new batch of chapati. This was done to pass on the message among locals and would eventually spark the independence movement. That's all the time we have for this episode. But join us again next time as we give you more tips, more trivia, and more stories behind the food we all love. Be sure to check in next time for another serving of Food Stories.